Every December, something completely ridiculous happens in theaters across Britain. Grown men put on wigs the size of a small car. A villain walks on stage, and the entire audience boos him on sight. A man dressed as a woman flirts with the front row, and somewhere a kid is screaming, "He's behind you!" at the top of their lungs, and everyone, including the adults, is fully on board. We call it Panto, and if you didn't grow up with it, it makes absolutely no sense. So today, Fun Fact Finding will explore where it came from, why it's stuck around for centuries, what to actually expect walking in for the first time, and why, despite being objectively bizarre, the whole country still shows up every Christmas. Panto's roots go back further than most people expect, all the way to 16th century Italy, to a style of theater called commedia dell'arte. Traveling troupes performed exaggerated stock characters, the fool, the sly servant, the young lovers, using slapstick, mistaken identity, and audience interaction. Sound familiar? That style crossed into Britain and slowly merged with our own folk traditions, mummers' plays, harlequinade, and popular fairy tales, until by the Victorian era, pantomime had become its own distinctly British beast. Producers realized something important. Put on a show at Christmas, base it loosely on a fairy tale everyone already knows, throw in music hall comedy, and families would turn up in droves. It worked so well, it's barely changed the business model since. A few conventions locked in early and never left. The dame, a comic older woman always played by a man in enormous costumes, comes from that same music hall tradition of gender-swapped comic performance. The principal boy, traditionally the young hero, was often played by a woman in tights, a tradition that shifted over time but still shows up in the show's playful attitude to gender. And the audience participation, booing villains, cheering heroes, shouting warnings at characters who somehow never hear you, comes straight from those rowdy, interactive roots where the fourth wall was never really there to begin with. The stories themselves are almost always fairy tales. Cinderella, Aladdin, Jack and the Beanstalk, Snow White, loosely retold, heavily rewritten, and stuffed with pop culture jokes, local references, and whatever celebrity's been cast that year. The plot is basically an excuse. The tradition is the point. So why has something this odd survived for centuries when so much else from Victorian entertainment has completely died out? 1. It's a Christmas ritual, not just a show. For a lot of families, Panto is as fixed a part of the season as the tree going up. Same theater, same time of year, sometimes the same seats. 2. It's genuinely for everyone in the room. Kids get slapstick, silly songs, and shouting matches with the stage. Adults get innuendo that flies straight over younger heads, celebrity cameos, and jokes about whatever happened in the news that year. Nobody's bored for completely different reasons. 3. The audience is part of the show. Booing, cheering, shouting, "Oh no, it isn't!" You're not watching passively, you're participating. That makes it feel like an event rather than just entertainment. 4. It doesn't take itself seriously. Wobbly sets, deliberately bad jokes, actors breaking character when something goes wrong. The imperfection is part of the charm, not a flaw. 5. It's a rite of passage. Almost everyone in Britain has a first Panto memory, usually from primary school or with grandparents. It gets passed down, generation to generation, largely unchanged. So, say you've never been. What actually happens when you walk in? You'll be told to shout things and you're expected to join in. Very early on, a character will teach the audience a call and response. Usually, "He's behind you," or "Oh no, it isn't." And from that point on, you're not just watching, you're part of the cast. Don't hold back. Everyone else won't be. There will be a villain, and you're supposed to boo them. The moment the villain appears, often with a dramatic entrance and ominous music, the audience boos on cue. It's not rude, it's tradition. The villain usually plays up to it, milking the reaction for as long as possible. The dame will talk to the audience directly. Expect the dame to wander into the crowd, pick on someone in the front row, ad-lib jokes about the town you're in, and generally break the fourth wall constantly. If you're sat near the front, there's a real chance you'll get pulled into a bit. There will be a song everyone's supposed to sing along to. Most pantos have at least one sing-along moment, often with the lyrics on a screen and a boys versus girls competition to see who can sing loudest. Just go for it. That's the whole point. It won't make total sense as a story, and that's fine. The plot is a loose skeleton for the jokes, songs, and chaos hanging off it. Nobody goes for a tightly plotted narrative. If you find yourself confused about why there's suddenly a pop song from 3 years ago in the middle of Aladdin, that's completely normal. There will be a slapstick set piece, often involving mess. Most pantos build to at least one big physical comedy scene, often involving flour, water, or some kind of onstage chaos that exists purely for the spectacle of it. By the end, you'll have booed a villain, sung along to a pop song with hand actions, and shouted warnings to a pantomime dame who definitely heard you the first time, and somehow that's exactly how it's supposed to go. Panto shouldn't really work. It's silly, it's loud, the jokes are often terrible on purpose, and the plot barely holds together. But that's kind of the point. It's not trying to be a polished piece of theater. It's trying to be a shared, ridiculous, once-a-year experience that everyone in the room is in on together. It's passed down through families. It turns total strangers into a shouting, singing, booing collective for 2 hours. And it doesn't ask you to take it seriously, just to join in. In a country not always known for public enthusiasm, Panto is the one time a year we're all more than happy to shout at the stage. So, Team Dame, Team Villain, or still trying to work out what a principal boy actually is? Let me know in the comments, and tell me about your first panto if you've got a story.